Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Today is April Fool's Day, but yesterday's matches were no joke. OpTic Texas in the lower bracket already after defeat to Seattle Surge. What exactly caused this situation? The bracket is absolutely ridiculous. A lot of pros reckon an ego child from OpTic in the map veto process led to this defeat. Very much tweeting your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you were new as always. All that good stuff. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. Vinny was looking absolutely beautiful. Fans were in the crowd. Of course, it's going to get better and better over the course of the weekend. Every single team deserved a 3-0 yesterday. It was a strange one, but yeah, will we get more of the same today? There's 5 games later on this evening. We'll have a look at the schedule here at the end of the video and what the bracket looks like right now, because honestly, the winners bracket almost looks like it should be the losers bracket. It's crazy, because honestly, the losers bracket almost looked like it should be the winners bracket with how stacked it is for the talent. Like, I'm pretty sure of the 8 teams and losers, only 2 of them can get top 4 if things go their way, and only 1 of them can get to top 3 and beyond. So it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Few other things to mention as well though. So Prestinni, there was a question right now. Okay, so obviously the substitute for Atlanta FaZe. Simp's back in business, we certainly saw yesterday. But yeah, would he sub in for anyone? Would he actually be able to come through? This Render Esports team, their player, I believe a Canadian player, didn't have his passport renewed. He effectively has been dropped for Prestinni. That's pretty cool. He's going to play through the open bracket. I believe it's going on today, and then on Saturday when we get to the winners quarters or winners semis, that's when the matches will start to be streamed, and we can see who's going to qualify for the Prime event. Very exciting weekend. Not sure exactly what the bracket is. They were saying on the flank last night the Doug's team might play the Rokkr Academy, that being the Spanish guys at some point. That would be pretty incredible as well, because Doug has talked very highly of Real and the players on that team. So definitely some really exciting matches this weekend, not just in the pro side. This bracket is absurd already. This I thought was a pretty interesting discussion between Zero and some of the other pros. I'm the unluckiest player in esports history. It's not even close, says Zero. Of course, I don't exactly know what went on yesterday that was so unlucky for London. They just got straight about played, to be honest. But as RC says, you think I got money on Slasher. So definitely as of late, I suppose Slasher's been very unlucky, right, with the teammate situation last year on LA Thieves, and then into this year as well, the whole Gunless situation going down this weekend. Yeah, I think Slasher's had a fair bit of ban the last couple of years. Definitely every player, I guess, wants to put themselves in that category if they can. Clay says it as well. In fairness, Clayster has been pretty unlucky in terms of winning with teams and then getting dropped for reasons outside of his control. For example, E United into the franchise era from 2019 to Modern Warfare, they didn't have the money to buy a spot, so the team basically split up, and then it goes 5v5 to 4v4 when they win the World Championship on Dallas Empire after that Modern Warfare season. But Method says, you're a 3-time world champion, mate. It's not all that unlucky. I made lemons out of lemonade. This then from Los Angeles Thieves, just to mention, because yesterday we talked about the fact that it seems like they will not be making a change going into today's game. Not a role change, nor a roster change, but something could be brewing after this tournament, depending on how things go later on this evening. They are planning, though, to bring an analyst on alongside JCap, because there was a lot of talk about, okay, yes, JCap, he has these very good strengths, but he has some weaknesses as a coach as well. He can't do it all. They had an analyst last year. They're looking to try and replace who they had as Novus last year. He's gone to be general manager for Seattle Surge. They are looking to replace him on their analyst staff. I don't know, maybe that'll help JCap out, but of course, if the roster doesn't perform, there's not too much an analyst can do.
And all these other teams, they have 2, 3, 4 people on their staff. Is that something that you guys are now going to look into with the recent performance?
Yeah, we're absolutely looking into it. We had an analyst last year. He actually took the GM job over at Seattle. He was great to have. We're in the process of hiring an analyst for this year. Some stuff fell through there, but we have another person that we're looking at bringing on board with Cap and really beefing up the support staff. I think it's a good thing to do.
This I thought was pretty crazy as well from Mack right here. Our warm-up room was 12-0 today. So whatever was going on behind the scenes, the teams that were in the warm-up room, I guess Boston, Boston, Florida, FaZe and Seattle were all in the same warm-up room, playing against each other, and they didn't even lose a map on the day. So not exactly sure what setup they've got going on there in the Minnesota camp, but still pretty cool to see regardless. Just crazy results, to be honest. Crim says the following: GG's FaZe played mediocre, played horrible as a team in the clutch situations, got to be better in all regards. Huge matches tomorrow and expected defeats. They did put up a close series here against FaZe. I thought they play Los Angeles Thieves later today to continue their run, because last year the way it worked with the buys in the winners bracket for the top teams, if you lost winners round 1, you would still get top 8 in the tournament or something, because the teams from lower went out to play each other. Nowadays, if you lose winners round 1, you lose losers round 1, you come top 12, and that of course has to raise some serious questions as to what these teams decide to do going into a month off effectively, where roster changes certainly should be going down. This then from Scump yesterday, GG Seattle, tough series from us, but we go again tomorrow. Certainly the tournament is not over. There's a crazy lower bracket run that could go down for some of these teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen, to be honest, given the way, like how stacked this lower bracket is. You're gonna, like, whoever drops down from winners is gonna have a hard time playing a very hot whatever team gets through the lower bracket. But obviously you don't want to be in losers. It's much better to be in winners. Winning just one winners round one gets you top 6 guaranteed, which obviously is a massive step. Yesterday the Seattle series, a massive surprise. Of course, look, they were going to lose their 12 win streak eventually. Not the series, of course, they wanted to lose it in. But really there was some talk about this control pick especially. This entire series was rather interesting, just the way the vetoes worked. I feel like if OpTic got it to a game 4, it would have gone game 5, and they are very confident on their Desert Siege Search and Destroy. But to me, the game 1 and game 3 choices, especially by OpTic, were kind of strange. We saw last year an awful lot. There was always this discussion about, okay, when OpTic lost a series, were their veto picks the best? Did they pick things just off their own feel, based on, like, rather than based on the stat that the other team actually has? Because this game 3 control, OpTic with the higher seeds get to just choose what control they play because they have the higher seeds. They still get to do that in the lower bracket, but surely you want to use that to your advantage, rather than just picking based on, I guess, what they were feeling on the day. So before we talk Tuscan control, Bacage Hardpoint game 1 was quite interesting, because when they played most recently, during the stage 2 qualifiers, they actually played Bacage Hardpoint there, and Seattle Surge beat them pretty comfortably on that map. So I'm not really sure why they decided to chell them here on them again, because at the end of the day, Sim and Pred, that might be just their best map, to be honest. That's a map where they're very solid on. They can get very warmed up as well into this series on Bacage, so not sure why OpTic went down the route of playing Bacage, because they banned Berlin, a map that I'm pretty sure they said in their kind of a pre-show yesterday they're feeling very confident on right now, might actually be their best hardpoint. So, like, all things considered, why would you play them on Bacage when you could just, like, allow Berlin through, especially because you lost to them on Bacage last time? Maybe they wanted to prove a point, build a map set, right? I don't know, but, winners round 1 is not really the time to be building up a map set anymore. It's time to pick your best maps, make sure you're playing your opponent's worst maps, and go down that route. The Tuscan Search and Destroy game 2, a map that OpTic are pretty good on. Of course, there's loads of footage of them on that map as well, though, so it makes sense. Seattle Surge hard counted a lot of the stuff they're bringing to the table. And then the game 3 Tuscan control was quite an interesting pick, because yes, OpTic are just unbelievable at control. 14 series or 14 control win streak going into this particular series. 9-1, I believe, on Tuscan, and 5-0 on Gavutu going into this one. But if you look at the actual stats for Seattle Surge, they are way better on Tuscan than they are on Gavutu. So deciding to ban Gavutu and going to Tuscan, if anything, was a bit of an ego chat. That's certainly what the guys on the flank were saying last night. The fact that OpTic got overconfident here, they felt like they could just do whatever they wanted against a team like Seattle, given their crazy win streak. That's not how it worked out. The ego shell came back to bite them.
To Seattle's credit, these are a lot of Seattle's, better maps. These are a lot of the maps they like to play. They're big fans of Tuscans. They like to play Bokage. So I wasn't really surprised if Seattle was going to play well and contest OpTic, let alone beat them, that it was going to be on these maps. So
well listen, are you guys? Oh, go ahead, Pat. I was just gonna. I'm so shocked. I can't stand seeing Bokage map 1. Is that just me? I feel like if you're OpTic, like last time you played Seattle, you get smoked on it, online or not. Bad maps out of Shotzzy and Scump last time they played it, but I feel like if you just get rid of that map, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
shocked they played it, in my opinion.
I think these maps, like, Seattle was really happy with them. I feel like OpTic could have threw a curveball and played any other map and still been comfortable in the series, and maybe made Seattle a little less comfortable. But I think this is just the case of what happens when you get really confident, right? Like, OpTic's been expanding their map pool online, as we've seen in some of these matches, and they just think that they're the. So obviously they're traditionally a very good Bokage team, but it's not something you have to gamble against a team who also likes Bokage in Seattle. These maps just gave Seattle a map set that they just are very comfortable on. So I think this was a blunder out of OpTic in general.
They just ego child them, bro.
Yeah, the ego child them, and Sib and Pred fried. So
if you look right here at the Seattle Surge stats so far this season, this is Major 1 qualifiers, Major 1, Major 2 qualifiers, all the series they played so far. The game map mode records over at Breaking Point GG look as follows. So, Control 5-7 overall, 1-4 on Gavutu, 4-3 on Tuscan. So not a crazy good control team, but significantly better on Tuscan than they are on Gavutu. So if you've got the choice, if you're OpTic, why would you not play Gavutu, a map where you're undefeated on? Maybe they just kind of felt like they wanted to play play Tuscan on the day, but in the end that kind of came back to hurt them, right? Because game 1 they already lost due to a kind of questionable blockage veto decision, and then they would have put themselves in a fantastic position to pull off a reverse sweep going to a Tuscan hardpoint where they're very good, and a Desert Siege Search and Destroy they're very confident on game 5. But like they didn't give themselves the best chance in the control, their 14 win streak comes to an end. So you can look at the stats all day long and consider, okay, Illy didn't play the best, like, you know, Shotzi didn't have his greatest series, all this type of stuff, but at the end of the day, one of the reasons why Sim and Pred did so well here is because they played maps they were super comfortable on. You put Sim and Pred, especially Pred, on a map like Gavutu Control, that's often where he can struggle on that SMG role, been one of his more difficult maps so far. And also, with a map set like this, you give Seattle so much confidence when they see that map set going into the series that they can take you down. So, very interesting stuff. Of course, look, the win streak was going to come to an end eventually. The tournament isn't over for these guys, but it certainly is something to consider that OpTic maybe went in here a bit too confident against Seattle, picked maps where Seattle are very comfortable on, and it did end up costing them down the line. Sim was very excited about it. He was kind of saying in a post-game, like a press conference type thing here with DeSoto that, you know, don't care about what the fans have to say, don't care about the crowds, like if they're cheering against us, we're going to do our best to take them down regardless. Next up, of course, they play FaZe. They don't play until tomorrow on the Saturday, but still some crazy series going down. This, just before we dive into today's match, just thought was really cool, as Brett Diamond points out, that's actually in the venue right now here as you kind of walk in. Just some moments from Call of Duty history. The first champs pack, of course, for Eco Impact 2013. Then the OpTic dynasty cemented in 2017 when they win the World Championship. This one as well, Denial and Attach, making history, becoming the youngest world champion. Attach's Minnesota Rokkr plays today up against OpTic Texas in the last match before the second round of the losers bracket. Crazy scenes. And then, of course, Rokkr Resurrection, they like to put this on here, right, when they won at that Major 5 last year. But here we go. This is what the bracket looks like. It's just insane, to be honest, how this lower bracket almost looked like it should be a winner's bracket. OpTic versus Rokkr, Subliners versus Thieves, Ravens versus Legion, Guerrillas versus Ultra. The upper bracket is Surge, FaZe, Mutineers, Breach. So in theory, FaZe and Breach have a relatively easy ride to the winners finals, but Seattle versus FaZe always a spicy one. Can Mutineers keep it up as well? But today the focus turns to the lower bracket. These are the 5 games of the day. Ravens versus Paris first up. To me, I honestly think that Paris can put up a fight here. I think London are going to have a lot to prove though this series. I think they should handle business in a 3-1. Then LAG versus Toronto. LAG looked pretty lost yesterday, to be perfectly honest. Toronto have won barely any hardpoints at all. Surely they finally win a hardpoint in this series. They should win the control because LAG are terrible there, and Toronto are pretty good. Also, Toronto are probably the better search and destroy team. I'm going to take Ultra in a confidence boosting hot 3-0. Then it's New York versus Los Angeles Thieves. This one is pretty tough to call. I think that honestly New York should be favourites here though. LA Thieves looked lost at the end of stage 2, and of course if they lose this they'll be 0-6 on the stage. That would be pretty tragic. New York I do think are the better team. They played FaZe relatively close. Like you know, they at least have a series on LAN on this stage. LA Thieves do not. And I do think that lately Thieves' hardpoint hasn't been quite as good as it was, right? And Subliners is very good in that mode. So I honestly think the Subliners win this one 3-1, maybe 3-2. I think honestly it's probably got a game 5 on it. So maybe I'm going to say Subliners 3-2. Thieves choke again in a crucial moment. Then the final series before the second round of winners, for me this would be London versus Toronto, and in that one I'd probably give it to London again, just what they did in kind of what was it, winners round 2 of stage 1 or Major 1 when London won that series, I believe 3-1. So that's what I would say for the final series if my earlier predictions are correct. They certainly might not be. But yeah, Rokkr versus OpTic, like yeah, wow, what a series. This is a crazy one. I think that OpTic, like generally when they go to losers, they win at least their first matchup. I think if they lose here, it'd be an incredible surprise. But yes, Minnesota, they are the home team. That's going to be incredible, to be honest, what the crowd's going to be doing this match. Like I'm sure there's going to be support for both teams in the venue. But I think if anything, this is a great match for OpTic to come up against, right? Because Rokkr, like they always love losing game 1s. Like an OpTic can close out. I think they'll bounce back in their control. I honestly think OpTic might come in here and 3-0 smoke them. But pretty much all of my predictions yesterday were terrible, so this could go completely out the window. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button. Told you YouTube God, this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And upgrade the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care. And I will see you next time.